Recently, there was a tragedy that happened here in Australia to a man called Stephen Toga. It looks like it says Tougher, but I believe that they pronounce it Toga. And he was a paramedic. He was quite young, in his early 20s, and he just got his job. He got married. He had a second child on the way within the next few weeks of his death. And what had happened was he was with his partner or whatever driving an ambulance on duty, and they went for a break in a Macca's car park, and someone came along, opened the door to the ambulance and basically stabbed him, and he ended up dying. So his father has come out and said he wants to make a thing called Stephen's Law and make it so there's a mandatory life sentence for anyone that murders or forces like a manslaughter, someone to be killed while they're working on duty as a paramedic. It's all well and good, but part of the father's quote was to say, oh, if it makes a psychopath think twice about blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that a lot of the times in those situations, the psychopath isn't thinking, and that's why they happen. So this particular situation, I mean, I don't know enough about it. It sounds like this person was crazy. Who does that? Who comes up and commits this sort of crime? By the way, if you'll notice, it wasn't done with a pew-pew, but it still happened. The perpetrator was a man called Jordan Finianganofo, 21 years old. Apparently at the scene he was tasered, arrested, and then charged with Mr. Toga's murder. So 21, doing this kind of stuff. Are you high? Is something wrong with you? Are you mentally challenged? I'm not so sure a person like that would stop to think twice or have the capacity to stop and think twice the way Mr. Toga's dad said. There's definitely something mental going on there. There's a problem. And that could account for the bad behavior, basically. Someone is trying to help your loved one, or someone is trying to help someone at the scene. What the hell are you doing trying to injure them or trying to stop this help from occurring? I've just never understood that when I've heard about that. I get it, like some situations, maybe there's a fight outside a nightclub and it gets taken to the ground and it gets more serious, or something. I get that emotions are running high, but if someone's injured, it doesn't matter how they're helping your person. Just let them do it. What the hell is wrong with people? I was reading about an uptick in violence towards frontline service members. So that's police, paramedics, firemen, that kind of stuff during the COVID scamdemic. And I straight away, I'm no expert. Experts aren't really experts these days, are they? But I know that it's because of the measures that the people's governments put in place, and also hysteria and fear and the things that the news media did to us while this was going on. So I think everyone's emotions were running high, people were stressed out, people were pissed off and sick of the way things were, and we felt very kettled, I think, by taking away the releases. So to release pressure valves, say sporting events, concerts, being able to go on a holiday, all the things that people normally got rid of their stress with, or an outlet, to go to a gym, to go to a dojo, all of that stuff got shut down. So I think people were just waiting to pop off, and those that are mentally ill or vulnerable and unable to really control themselves, it does not surprise me that there was a spike in assaults on frontline workers and people that are generally in the line of fire because they're in these high stress situations. So you take a really stressed person because of the media, because of everything I just said, and then put them in a stressful situation, and it was bound to happen. And that's another little offshoot I just want to go on with this. I always say, whenever it gets brought up with the scamdemic, there are a lot of things that happened, but one of the things that I don't think people are paying much attention to is what it did to already vulnerable people's mental health, because a lot of people did not need that isolation. They did not need more rules put on their life. They didn't need to be separated from their psychologists or their families or their support systems. And a lot of places, even my country, they did the right thing of slapping on a few extra free or subsidized sessions with psychologists over the phone for a couple of years. It's not enough. It's not enough to stem what happened. And I really feel like we will never, ever know the true toll of what the scamdemic and what the powers that be, their measures put on these people actually caused. I don't think we'll ever know about the self-deletion rates that came about from COVID. I think they'll bring out a few articles and they'll tell you, but I bet you it's at least like 10 times whatever they're about to say. These people are accountable for that, and they will never be punished for that because they have all these emergency power legislation documents and everything to say, oh, we did what we thought was right at the time. Nah, mate, it was a power grab. It was a money grab. It was fear, and from chaos comes order, and it was just the order that they wanted. So when I think of it, I'm thinking about the people that were already in the mind frame for self-deletion. I'm talking about people that self-injure. I'm talking about people that have issues that needed addressing, that suffered more because of the measures their governments put on them. And that could have been made worse by the fact that they weren't allowed to work, or they weren't allowed to go to a concert, or maybe they actually had an adverse reaction from the medication. All of these things could have accounted for lives being lost under this banner of, measures. And it's actually never been said, and in everything I've watched and everything, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm old, so I remember, around 9/11 there was a spike in spontaneous abortions / miscarriages of male fetuses because of the mother's stress around the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks in 2001. So scientific journals and everything at the time, I'm going to try and find some and put some pictures and stuff here somewhere. I do remember them discussing it and saying that the male fetuses were more susceptible to stress, and that's why many of them did not survive. So there was actually a study done on it, because around 9/11 it wasn't just the three towers, it was the aftermath. So it was people dying from being first responders, and it was people losing their family members. It was the whole stress of, oh my goodness, are Western nations going to be under attack? Who's next? What's going to happen? And so there was a phenomenon that some women did lose their pregnancies because of the stress that they were under. So that's another thing I can't help but think, that around this COVID scamdemic, that probably a lot of lives were lost in that way too. Back to Mr. Stephen Toker. So it sucks. It really does. It's such a sad thing to have someone that wasn't expecting something like that, that is generally a person that helps the community, to have that happen to them is just horrible. And for him to be at the dawn of the new era of his life, having just got married, having his second kid on the way and everything, it's just very, very sad. The family he left behind does have a GoFundMe link. And if you want to chip in, any little bit helps. I think it's really important that we try and help people through this kind of stuff, because no one asks for this to happen, and it's kind of a freak thing. And it just, what if the person opened the other side door of the car? What if his shift ended sooner? It's just a horrible circumstance, and the crescendo to a bunch of events that seemingly might have meant nothing. His wife thought he was coming home. Nobody needs this to happen. So the link is below. Okay, before I forget, controversial. This is a topic I've kind of spoken about and kind of argued and kind of discussed with some people that I know from time to time. We have a law here that states that if you are in a car chase with police and you happen to be speeding and you run a red light and you hit another car and the occupants of that car are maimed or injured or die or whatever, or if you ram into a shop and cause X amount of damage and all of that stuff, you go down for murder and you go down for whatever. I got a problem with that. And I know the way it sounds to some people, but for me, I'm thinking, okay, so when you do things, so I don't know, you make a call. So if you make the call, if you initiate the call, you stay in control of it, right? You ring up your friend and you're like, hey, how you going? Do you want to go out? Or you picked up the phone and you called them for a reason, for a goal. Same thing as work tasks, you start them, so you finish them, and you stay on top of that, and you get it to go the way you want to get the result that you need. I kind of feel that about the cops. So if they're after someone and they put on their lights and they're just like, see you later, pigs. If that happens, it's my opinion that the police behind, even though you are chasing and you're behind, you're still in control of the situation because you have the authority. I'm not a cop. I've never done police training. But I don't know, it just would occur to me that if the speed starts getting dangerous, where civilians are going to get caught in the crossfire and possibly very, very injured or die or anything, I don't know, as a representative of law and order in the state and an arm of the government, I probably would call it and just say, look, I'm going to call the helicopter to fly over. I mean, you guys like to do that if we can keep everybody awake every night. You can call that, you can, what are those road spikes things? You can do something, but at some stage, in my opinion, when it becomes too dangerous for not only the suspect and those around, but also the police officers chasing in their car, I think you should just stop. There's got to be another way around it. You've got the guy's number plate, you can chase it up later, sort of thing. I don't think that the fact now there is a law saying that the perpetrators of the robbery or the car chase or whatever, I I don't think that's going to deter them. I don't even think half the people around here know that if they lead the cops on a car chase, that they're liable for absolutely every single thing that could ever happen in that chase. The cops going faster, so they're going faster. The cops going faster, so they're going even faster. So whatever happens, at some stage, I just don't know if it's completely the perpetrator's fault anymore. Again, if you're a member of law enforcement and you have the authority, it just seems to me that you also have the responsibility and the brains to just say, look, this is getting too dangerous for us. This is getting too dangerous for the community. What if some kid walks out? It's too dangerous for even the suspect. We would rather detain a suspect than have them killed. Or would you? I don't know, but it just got me thinking with this Stevens law that's going to be put through. Yes, I 100% understand it. I get it. I get where the father is coming from. But this is kind of a variation of it. And I think this particular law with the police chases, I don't think that's worked. I'm really not sure that that small minority of people that choose or would choose to run from the cops is going to care about the consequences in that second. And so again, I think it's a different situation to the laws that are supposed to be coming through about hurting a paramedic on duty. But at the same time, I think that it's kind of aimed at people that aren't using their brain and they're not thinking. So whether or not it's going to actually work as a deterrent is something I'm just really not sure of. Many times I've noticed that these kind of laws or proposals of laws that come through are more about the community possibly feeling better and the family feeling better. And I've got not much against that, but I've got something against creating more laws. At the moment, the whole paramedic thing, I believe you can get up to 14 years in jail if you harm a person that's on duty trying to work. So this is just making that bigger, saying that they need life in prison. But in the long run, things like this, I'm not sure if they will actually do what the family and what the premier of that state is wanting it to. I do know that as the population ages, a lot of premiers will put more and more laws in because that'll get them votes, because old people that aren't out and about and don't know how the city runs and everything will vote for that, thinking that's really going to keep them safe and going to keep those young whippersnappers in check. But a lot of the times it's just a pipe dream. So I am interested to see if this will actually make a difference. I hope the family recovers and gets to a place where they can accept what's happened and move forward. If you've got a comment or experience on police chases, or if someone is a cop and they want to tell me what the protocol is and why they do that, that'll be really cool too. There's a comment section below. Don't want to be one of those people that's asking you to sub and like, but if you feel like commenting or liking, that would help me out. It'll give me the power to do more of these episodes.